In this video, I will show you the process to create ICPs for different products. This is not the most exciting workflow, but this is the most important one because this will allow to create different marketing angles. And based on those marketing angles, we'll be able to create scripts and prompts for videos. So this one is really, really important. Luckily, this is not a very complicated one. So the first step is to make sure that you either have an automation or that you have the automation or the workflow running on schedule. Then the next step here, as you will see, we have two different kind of triggers. So this trigger is a webhook. So it works by using basically the record ID and the automation from Airtable. And this one is triggered by another workflow. This is for an ICP server. So this can run either way. I can talk to the ICP server and trigger this workflow, or I can just click the checkbox and trigger this workflow as well, or I can run it on schedule. So the next step is really quite straightforward. We make sure that we set the record ID. So as you can see, this is all lowercase except from this I here. And we do the same here. That's really important so that we always have the same format. So we call it inside the record ID. So this is JSON.recordID. I will actually show you an execution so that you can actually understand the whole process. So here we set the record ID. As you can see, this is this record ID there. We get this record. We have HVAC installation for homeowners. Create ICP is set to true. And then as the next step, we set fields. So we want to create 5 ICPs. So if I wanted to create 3, I would just need to change this number. And here, this is a little bit specific. We can't really create the ICP and the market research at the same time because it makes a mess. So instead, we are defining the 5 new ICPs, and then we split out those ICPs and we create the marketing research for each. So if I was to define, for instance, 10 different ICPs, this would be a lot to process inside this single node here. So instead I would have a loop. So it would look like that. And then I would proceed by batches of 1. And just attach it like that. And then once this is finished, just loop it back here. This is not the case, and I find that 5 is a good number. This is usually enough. So here we have our ICP creator, which uses the product's name, product description, and the ICP. So the ICP coming from our split out node. And then here as the next step, we have a system prompt, which is quite sophisticated, which is basically giving all the information for the AI to create the marketing research. So as you can see, this one is connected to Gemini. We have initially created it with Perplexity, but I find that Gemini does a better job. So this is what I'm using for market research now. And here as the next step, I create a record inside the Airtable database. So that's really important to pay attention here. So I use the ICP name, so the one coming from the split out node. I use the market research, and then I use the product. So the product is attached. So this is a link to the product table. So if I show you inside the ICP table, you will see that this product is attached. You can see the arrow here. This is a linked record. And for that, Airtable expects to receive an array. So as you can see, the format is slightly different here. We have square brackets. So that defines an array. And if I was to have several products attached, I wouldn't want to do that, obviously, but if I had several products attached, I could add as many products as I want to within that array. So this is really quite useful. As a next step, we are creating a Google Doc, which goes inside a Google Drive. So if you don't know how to set up the credentials for Google product, I've created a specific video about that. I'll let you check it out. So here we are defining the title. So that's market research for our product title, and then the new ICP. And then here as the next step, we reuse the same document. And so as you can see, we passed the doc ID and URL here, coming from the previous step. And then we use the object is text, action is insert a body segment at the end of a specific position. And here we add the text coming from this ICP create node. So here we could format it a little bit differently, but that works perfectly. So then as the next step, we just make sure that we update the record. So we update the record inside the ICP table. So this is just matching column on ID, really important. Otherwise, you will be creating different ICPs for different products. And instead to match it properly and have everything lined up properly, this is going to create new rows, and we don't want that. So here we update the value and we just update the Google Doc link. So that's all there is to it. Let me just show you what an actual market research looks like. And you will see that this is very useful. So here we have the purpose statement of this document, key findings summary, market opportunity, success metrics, scalability assessment. And then here we have research-backed marketing angles and hooks. This is what we are going to use in the next steps in order to create really catchy videos. So that's basically the whole document. And that's really important because without a proper marketing research, it's really difficult to get the messaging right for videos or text or images.